Every woman watching this show has been invited at one time or another to a party for someone who's expecting. You know, when you get the invitation in the mail, do you get invited to a fetus shower? Of course not. You get invited to a baby shower, because that's what we know from the get-go it is. It's just that we don't want to really face the fact that when we don't want the baby, we call it a fetus, and we talk about it as my choice. When we're really desirous of this child, from the moment you find out you're pregnant, I'm having a baby.
Perhaps, to better understand this issue, we must go back to 1973, when the Supreme Court case of Roe v. Wade would fuel the fire of this debate for generations.
In 1973, the Supreme Court struck down all of the laws in the United States, in every state, that had made abortion on demand illegal. In most states, it was considered a form of manslaughter. So rather than having legislators decide these questions in individual states, Supreme Court decided that it would take on this question itself, and it struck down all those laws, made abortion legal. The same day it decided Roe versus Wade, it decided Doe versus Bolton. Between those two cases, abortion became legal overnight in the United States through the 9th month of pregnancy. The effect on the country has been devastating. 40 million unborn children have been killed in the womb since 1973, and the numbers continue to mount.
When people talk about Roe v. Wade, the vast majority of Americans, I believe, think that Roe v. Wade allowed abortion for the first trimester, but not for the next 2 trimesters. That simply is false. The truth of the matter is Roe v. Wade said that every woman has a right to an abortion in the first trimester, and then went on to say that states, if they wished, could make laws about the next 2.
There is a huge loophole, and this is that the state can prohibit abortions in the 3rd trimester unless the abortion was being done for the woman's health. That's a huge term, and it's used politically all the time.
The government has an interest in a pregnancy and the potential of life represented by the fetus. And that interest gets greater once the fetus becomes viable. But never can the government's interest in the potential for life override a woman's interest in protecting her health.
Roe versus Wade's evil twin, if you want to call it that, was Doe versus Bolton. It was a court decision done on exactly the same day as Roe versus Wade. And it defined the term health. Roe didn't define health. What did the word health mean? But Doe versus Bolton did define health. And health in that court decision means a woman's physical health. Well, nobody would have too much argument with that. Of course, they didn't say how physically unhealthy she'd have to be in that case. Her mental health, boy, now we're starting to get into some real subjective areas. Her economic health, and even her social health, whatever that means.
There's a balance between the health of the woman and the potential for life represented by the fetus. The woman's health has to be of paramount concern, and she has to be able to protect her health, to protect her life.
In the end, these health exceptions are so broad that essentially abortions can be done anytime during a pregnancy. That doesn't mean you'll have that a patient would have an easy time finding a doctor to do a very late-term abortion, but technically, with those technically those things can be legal as long as he certifies that this abortion is being done for the woman's health.